As we tackle the COVID-19 pandemic collectively, do ensure you wear your face masks every time you leave your homes. Practice social distancing and sanitize or wash your hands frequently. Welcome to InfoHub for Monday, August 17. It's the beginning of a new work week where we continue to highlight the work of the PPPC government. Thanks for joining us. The new People's Progressive Party civic administration is wasting no time in ensuring the needs of all citizens are met. As such, Minister of Amerindian Affairs, Honorable Pauline Sukai, has reiterated the government's commitment to improving the lives of the indigenous peoples through enterprise, entrepreneurship, and job opportunities. Minister Sukai on Saturday announced that the new PPPC government will be re-establishing the Community Support Officers Program. This is an initiative aimed at developing young Amerindians in the various villages and communities through the creation of job opportunities, building capacity, and strengthening individual interests and skills. Speaking at a virtual media briefing, Minister Sukai said the Amerindian communities can expect the program to get back on track by the end of the year. Given the COVID restrictions, Minister Sukai explained that specific areas will be targeted in the initial stages of the program.
So we will see before the end of the year attention being paid to prepare villages to get back on track with the engagement of young people to support community development.
The CSO's engagement was launched in 2014 under the Youth Entrepreneurship and Apprenticeship Program. It targeted some 2,000 individuals between the ages of 16 to 40 in regions 1, 7, 8, and 9. YEAP was part of the then PPPC government's commitment to youth development and advancement and investment in the lives of the indigenous people. The reintroduction of this program will replace the Hinterland Employment and Youth Service Program, which was introduced by the former APNU-AFC Coalition administration. When the new PPPC government assumed office earlier this month, it was found that while there were a few successful businesses under the HAZE program, the overall objective of the program was not being realized.
There are a few successful entrepreneurial initiatives that have survived, but in the majority, we have found that the investment funds invested in this project or through this project has not been a success.
Minister Sukai explained that the unit established under this program was not active for the past year. Staff members were reporting to work every day but were not engaged in any work. There was no work plan or approved budget.
This unit had no allocation or provision for the unit to continue. But what occurred is that the ministry continued to accept the unit, and members of the staff came out every day to work. And it was only in June of this year that the ministry actually got approval for payments to be made to this unit or the staff of this unit through the tender board approving for them to be paid under the line item in the budget, which is referred to as other.
Minister Sukai also highlighted the government's plan to meet with Amerindian leaders sub-regionally within the next 4 months. According to the minister, the PPPC administration is committed to convening the National Tushaus Conference within its first month in office to engage the leaders on plans for development of Guyana's First Peoples. The minister related that a planned schedule will be developed with COVID-19 preventative guidelines to ensure the safety of all. The ministry is also preparing an alternative approach to have the NCT closer to the end of the year. However, this will depend on the country's ability to flatten the curve.
We are looking at it in a two-pronged way because we need to ensure that there's full engagement on how the government proceed with the intervention for their development.
The National Tushaus Council is a semi-autonomous body comprising all Tushaus in Guyana. It has an executive committee including one Tushau from each of the 10 administrative regions. Each year, the body organizes a national conference which brings together the leaders of over 212 indigenous villages in all of the 10 administrative regions. The forum is aimed at consolidating and expanding the national development and transformation processes to cater to the needs of the indigenous peoples. It also addresses issues such as land titles, demarcations, education, health, social services, security, and infrastructure. Government has modified the COVID-19 measures after making assessments and finding the previous one to be fragmented and incapable of meeting the safety and economic needs of Guyanese. Among the new changes to the measures is the enforcement of a new curfew from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in all regions except Regions 7, 8, and 9. These regions will have a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Both curfew measures will be effective up until August 31, 2020. Additionally, food services and restaurants will now be permitted to open only for delivery, drive-through, curbside pickup, and takeaway services from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Previously, the cutoff time was midnight. Indoor dining will continue to be prohibited, while outdoor dining will be permitted between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., while practicing strict protocols such as sanitizing, social distancing, and a number of other measures and guidelines set out by the Ministry of Health. Social activities such as private parties, going to the cinema, competitive sports, spas, bars and rum shops, and recreational activities on creeks, rivers, and beaches will remain prohibited, as well as wakes and vigils. However, religious gatherings are still allowed to be open with 25% attendance and 45 minutes between multiple services for cleaning. Importantly, the wearing of face masks in public is now mandatory. Let's tell you now that Guyanese workers can rest assured that under the PPPC government, their rights and interests will be protected. This assurance came from Minister of Labor, Honorable Joseph Hamilton, who was at the time addressing pertinent issues in his sector.
I would not tolerate any company, whether large or small, Guyanese or expatriate, who seek to penalize, victimize people for wanting to unionize themselves or forming an organization. This morning, I walked with the Guyana Constitution, and I plan to walk with it at every meeting I go with companies, so that I can read that they understand the rights of workers. Any set of workers, wherever they work, who want to form workers' representative organizations or a union or be part of an existing union, that I would ensure that I will protect their rights. No set of employer would seek to deny them that constitutional and human rights. So that is my commitment.
That was the Minister of Labor, Honorable Joseph Hamilton, speaking during an interview on the National Communications Network. As it relates to minimum wage, the minister explained that there are laws which deal specifically with its payment.
As regards the issue about not being paid properly, there is a minimum wage established by the government, and therefore no one should be working for under that minimum wage, because it was established via regulation and in law. And anyone who at this moment are paying people under the minimum wage, they're breaking the law, and there are penalties within the labor law that we can utilize to address those matters.
Going forward, Minister Hamilton said the plan is to ensure that every region has an occupational safety and health officer as well as a labor officer.
If you have a labor officer in the region, they would be regularly engaging employers and employees, and they would get a sense as to what is happening and the agitation and difficulties. As regards this occupation health and safety side, we will have in every region occupation health and safety officer, whose duty and job will be to engage industries and every place that people work, to ensure that they can beforehand see the difficulties workers have.
A revision of the Occupational Safety and Health Act with specific focus on the oil and gas sector is also on the cards.
To deal with the oil and gas industry, the issues of occupation health and safety issues, the ILO has already been engaged even before I arrived, and they have already made contact with me, seeking to congratulate me and seeking to I was put in motion how we move forward all of these proposals that are on the table, were on the table as regards legislation amendments and new legislation. And the oil and gas legislation coming forward, they will be very much specific to the oil and gas industry.
For InfoHub, Gavin Lewis.
Residents of Lust in Rust on the west bank of Demerara can now breathe a sigh of relief that their water woes will soon come to an end. This was disclosed as Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Honorable Susan Rodriguez, met with residents on the way forward.
On Monday, Minister Rodriguez was prompted to visit the community following numerous complaints made by residents to the APNU AFC administration over the lack of access to potable water. The minister proposed that a new well be erected in the area to solve the problem. However, the short-term solution due to budget constraints is for residents to share the well being utilized by neighboring schemes.
So we're trying our best to get as much water as possible to the area. What the area really needs is a new well. And we're trying to work on that. As you know, we don't have a budget as yet. We're working on that now. And we're going to try to get a new well for the area. But right now we're trying to divert water from some of the other areas so we can at least bring some relief to this area.
Under the Live the Guyanese Dream housing project, then Minister of Housing and Water Irfan Ali had subsidized lands in the scheme, which led to persons benefiting in 2013 and the growth of the scheme throughout 2014. However, residents had lamented that over the past 5 years, under the APNU AFC coalition government, water issues have been plaguing the community.
We not go by them people and full water from the yard and think and pay money and them for full the water. Sometimes you gotta go till an acre to wash clothes and thing and then come back here by with friend and family and them stuff.
We were told to pay and you will be connected. We happily went to the office, we paid, we were not connected. The problem is this, some persons were connected.
In response to the complaints of the residents, Minister Rodriguez indicated that the new government will work assiduously to improve their water service.
We heard your complaints. We came to have a first-hand look to see what we can do. And we want to ensure that every citizen in Guyana can live in dignity. You know, we don't want to hear about people pumping water from the canal and, we have to deliver potable water. People have to live with respect, people have to live with dignity, and all Guyanese, So that's something that the President has made very clear, that we're going to be a government for all Guyanese.
The minister also visited the Westminster pump station and revealed how much more work is needed in the community. Minister Rodriguez remains committed to ensuring the needs of the residents are met efficiently and without discrimination.
Now, upon the visit, I realized that the entire scheme needs a lot of work, not just in relation to water, but the roads are in a deplorable state. There are a lot of lots that are unoccupied, and so the area is overgrown with vegetation and so on. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board and try to see as soon as possible what plans we can bring on board to try to develop the entire scheme.
Residents were assured that all the relevant agencies will work together to provide better housing solutions.
In the future going forward, we're going to have to coordinate better with GWI and CHNPA to ensure that all of the works are going on simultaneously so that none of the agencies have to play catch-up. So if we're going to allocate house lots, we have to ensure that the roads are done and that GWI is aware that they have to install the wells and to distribute water equitably for all of the residents.
According to the Executive Director of Operations at the Guyana Water Incorporated GWI, Dwayne Shako, said that the company is currently putting measures in place so that residents can have water by the end of the week.
This is the area where we have 2 wells supplying the Lost in Ross on the Neiman, Parfait, past the Schoonard, and Red Dorsey area. So what's happening here is that one of the wells is out of operation. We presently trying to clean that well in order to able to increase the service level in Lost in Ross. We're presently supplying the area, which is around 2.1 million gallons a day. So we're hoping that once this well is finished cleaning, we'll head up to somewhere around 2.8 million gallons per day, which is around Saturday. So the team here is working, will be working until Saturday. They'll be working 24 hours to the evening also to have this well completed.
While GWI cannot assure that the water pressure will be up to standard, residents will have water at least at the standpipe level.
More news after this short break. Welcome back. Prime Minister Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips has praised the Civil Defense Commission for its work during the current COVID-19 pandemic. This follows a tour of the CDC's headquarters and storage facility.
The Prime Minister, who has oversight responsibility of the Civil Defense Commission, carried out a familiarization tour of the agency's Thomas Lands, Georgetown location on Sunday. Prime Minister Phillips said he was pleased with the work being done thus far.
I'm satisfied with what the Civil Defense has in store here, and they've been doing a lot of good work. And I know last weekend, for example, they delivered over 1,100. Correct me if I'm wrong.
1,000, just over 1,000.
Just over 1,000 food hampers in the hinterland and remote areas, and they would have touched areas as close to our borders. The focus obviously would have been in regions 8 and region 9 over the last weekend. And my understanding is that this week the focus is on region 1.
Okay.
Right. Communities that are similarly affected and considered to be vulnerable and in need at this time, and our efforts will be in region 1.
The CDC has a mandate to coordinate and monitor disaster risk management and conduct comprehensive disaster management in Guyana. From the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in Guyana, the Commission has been on the ground providing the much-needed support to families in communities across the country, hit hardest by its effects.
So this bond is where they store the relief supplies that will be delivered throughout the length and breadth of Guyana, wherever people are affected, whether it be by COVID-19 pandemic or any other form of disaster or complex emergencies in Guyana, that the Civil Defense Commission is expected to bring some support and alleviation to the suffering of the people as a result of the pandemic or any form of disaster.
The CDC currently has in stock over 2,500 hampers. The Commission is finalizing its budget, which will include funds for additional supplies for COVID-19 relief support, along with other complex emergencies for the remainder of this year. For InfoHub, I am Kellon Rover.
Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister with the responsibility for public affairs, Honorable Kwame McCoy, met with Deputy Chief of Mission of the Chinese Embassy in Guyana, Mr. Chen Zhang, at Colgreen House. Part of the discourse included the exploration of future scholarships by the Chinese government and training for staff within the state media and other entities that fall under the stewardship of the Public Affairs Department. Minister McCoy said the bilateral talks explored assistance to media communications, government relations, and public affairs in general. He said the discussions will be concretized in subsequent meetings. Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Honorable Charles Ramson Jr., has assured that his ministry will be comprehensively reshaping sport locally, thereby allowing for a wider range of disciplines. An online approach to the way sport is marketed is also being considered.
The sport minister was addressing journalists during a familiarization session held at Duke Lodge, Kingston. Minister Ramson explained that an online approach to marketing sport will open up avenues for collaboration.
In order for us to be able to change the trajectory for sport so that it becomes much more monetizable and commercial, we have to be able to give the sponsorship avenues for businesses, both local and foreign, where it's not just something that they're doing out of the kindness of their heart, where it makes commercial sense for them.
Minister Ramson disclosed that this approach is being taken following consultations with major sport associations. Through these consultations, it was confirmed that sport in Guyana is disorganized. This discovery has prompted the government to adopt an approach where the sport ministry is more accessible to all the relevant stakeholders, including journalists.
That is something that we have to change, because you cannot develop talent in an ad hoc way. You can have these outliers, but if you're going to develop you develop the entire sport, you need many talented persons who can take their talents all the way up to the international level where they can be competitive, whether they're teams or individual sports.
Importantly, high on the minister's list is the redrafting of the national sport policy, which has languished under the previous APNU-AFC coalition administration. The updating of the policy, he noted, will ensure better decisions are made for sport in the country. For InfoHub, I am Kelon Rover.
Minister of Public Service Honorable Sonia Parag today met with the High Commissioner of India to Guyana, Dr. K.J. Srinivasa, and Ambassador of Cuba to Guyana, His Excellency Narciso Ronaldo Amoro Socorro. Minister Parag discussed areas of mutual cooperation with both the High Commissioner and Ambassador, which will see the advancement of the local public sector. Since taking up her new role, the minister has expressed her intention to explore all avenues that will see the modernization of the public service in Guyana, in keeping with the changing global environment. Minister Parag also shared her expectation of a high level of professionalism following a meeting with the staff of her ministry. Remember to do your part to ensure you do not put yourself at risk during this time. If you have a cough, fever, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early, but call the hotline first. That's all for today. Connect with us on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and visit our website, dpi.gov.gy, as we bring you the latest and important news on what the government is doing to ensure the continued development of our country. Your Bridge Reports are up next. Goodbye for now.